lesson from your social studies, that is your economic portion, that is from chapter 2, basic economic problems. Okay, here we will be studying about the problems that are being created in the economic system of our state, or we can say our country. First of all, before going in a thorough lesson, let's see what are the topics we are going to discuss today in this lesson. Number one is the poverty. Then we'll be going with the population. Poverty, as we know, is a major economic problem of our country. Next, we have the population. Another one is the unemployment and the growth of population and unemployment, and last is inflation. Okay, we'll be studying details about all these points. First, let's go to poverty. Now, what is poverty? Everybody, we know that in order to live, we have to fulfill our three basic needs. What are our three basic needs? That is the food, clothing, and shelter. Yes. Now, here in the economic term, we can say that those who doesn't get proper basic need, that is the food, clothing, shelter, and education and health services properly, can be regarded as poverty. Now, poverty has been given different definition by different thinkers, but here we see that in economical terms, the most suitable definition of poverty is those who doesn't get the three basic needs, that is the food, clothing, and shelter, along with education and health services, can be regarded as poverty. Now, what are the factors that determines poverty in our economic system? There are 2 points. Number one is wealth. Okay, wealth means how much money they earn in a year, or we can say in a month. Another one, wealth and income. Same thing. The wealth and incomes are the indicators, or we can say that distinguish between rich and poor. Another point that next we'll go to the poverty line. Now, what is poverty line? Poverty line means those who doesn't get the proper basic needs, can be regarded as they are living under the poverty line, means they are in the category of poverty. This is a limit. A limit has been set, to recognize the people who is living under the poverty line. That is known as poverty line. Now, how do you calculate a person or a family living under the poverty line? Now, here is a limit given. Now, in a rural area, the amount of calories that is being consumed by a person, or we can say by a family, and the amount of calories that has been consumed by a person living in a rural, or we can say, the urban areas, this distinguish the poverty line. Here, what are those amount? Let's see. In a rural area, we find that the amount of calories that has to be consumed by people is 2,400. In a rural. What do you mean by rural? Rural means people living in a village. And next is the urban people. The urban people, we find that the amount of calories that has been fixed in order to recognize them is 2,100. In one way, what is the difference here? The difference is that the calories that is being consumed in the rural areas is more than that of the urban area. Why is this difference here? Because the rural people has to do more labor work. For that reason, they have to get proper diet. For that reason, we find that hard workers are included in means the people of village people, or we can say the rural areas, are included in the more poverty calories area, because they are doing more work or hard labor as in comparison with that of the people living in the rural areas. Okay, this is the difference. This is why the difference of calories is being fixed between rural and urban. Now next, let's see the extent of poverty in India. What do you mean by extent of poverty in India? Means how much people of the total population of our country, okay, lives under the poverty line. Let's study about the extent of poor people in India. Okay, as we know that India got independence in 15th August. Yes. Now, before independence, we have no records as to how many people are living under the poverty line. But according to some records that has been set up after independence, that is in the post-independence period, we find that the number of poverty line has been decreasing. Okay. Now, who are these? Why is the rate of poverty decreased in the post-independence period? What is this? Let's see. Now here, in the pre-independence period, there were no commissions, or we can say there was no committee formed in order to look after the poor people. But after independence, we find that many commissions came up, many committees came up that were looking or working for the development of the people. And as a result, we find that with the coming up of these committees and commissions, we find that the poverty line is being properly looked after by these groups, and hence there is a decrease in the poverty line of the people. Now let's see how are these commission working out. Yes. Now, after independence, we find that we have the 5 years plan and all. Yes, after every 5 years means they used to discuss what should be done in which sector, all this and that. Different sectors are being looked after in this 5 years plan. Okay. Now, accordingly, we find that in this 5 years plan programs, we find that the government is looking proper for the improvement of the different sectors of the people, whether it might be in their health, whether it might be in their housing, or whether it might be the clothing and shelter, each and health, everything. They are looking properly into these different sectors with this, according to this 5 years plan after every 5 years. Okay, and as a result, we find that the poverty is being decreased according or we can say that through these steps. Now here we find that there were 2 expert committees, okay, that has given us a record of the poverty line in different years, or we can say in different periods of time. Among them there were 2. One is the Professor Tendulkar committee. Another one is the Rangarajan committee. Okay, here these 2 has given some different details of the poverty line. According to Professor Tendulkar, okay, who has given a record in 2009, means the amount of poverty in India is, accordingly to this committee, we find that 20.9% of the total population in the urban areas are under poverty line, and here in the rural we find that 33.8% are in the rural areas are under poverty line, and 20.9% of people are in the urban areas are under the poverty line. In which year? The year was from 2009 to 2010. Okay, this is the record that has been submitted by this Professor Tendulkar committee. Another one is the Rangarajan committee that has given us a record of the year from 2011 to 2012. According to this committee, we find that 30.9% of the total population of rural areas, rural means the village people are under the poverty line, and 29 point sorry yes 20 26.4 of the total population of the urban areas are under the poverty line. These are the two important committees that has given us some details about the per people by distinguishing them between rural and urban, and which lives under the poverty line. After this, let's go to the causes now. What are the causes of the poverty? Means, why are the people poor? What is the reason behind them? There are 3 points. There is the historical, another one is economic, and the last is the social factor that has contributed to that lead to the poverty line. First of all, let's discuss about the historical problem that has created the poverty line in India. What is the history? What is the history of India? It's very common. Yes, the history of India is that we, the Indians, were being looted, okay, by the Britishers. Okay, the wealth of India has been taken away by the Britishers to their own respective motherland by making our land poorer. This is our historical factor that has led the people of India to live under the poverty line. Very easy and very common factor. Next is the economic factor. Now let's see what is the economic factors. The economic factors has been broadly divided into many types. Okay, here I'll read out some of the factors, economic factors that has led the people under the poverty line. That is the absence of ownership. That is, and another one, the absence of employment opportunities outside the agricultural sector. Means, except doing a farming, they have no other alternative way of earning livelihood. Next is the seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment means most of the farmers in India, they are employed, means they have work for 6 months, and the rest of the 6 months they are left without no work because there is no rain, the weather doesn't suit for their cultivation. For that reason, we find that the Indian farmers are seasonal in character because 6 months they used to work hard as farmers in the land, but for the rest of the 6 months they are left unemployed. This is called seasonal unemployment. And next is the presence of uneducated and unskilled labor. Most of the Indian people are uneducated, and unskilled means they don't have the knowledge of doing work. The limited size of agricultural production means there is a limit how much crops or how much paddy they should grow. There is a limit of their production. For this is another economic reason. And low rate of wages means how much they do work, they do not get that much of profit in return, less wages. Okay, then this is the economic reason behind the poverty line in the rural, means in the village areas. Now let's go to next, what happens to the towns and cities. Why? What is the economic factor that has led the people of the town that has led to the people of the towns and cities to live under the poverty line? What is the reason? What is the economic reason? Let's see. Number one is the most of the endless flow of labor from the towns, from the rural to the town. Means many people from the village area, okay, they come to the town area or the cities to get employed. For that reason, then there is more people but less opportunity for job. Next is the lack of drinking water, polluted environment, creation of slum areas. Okay, what do you mean by slum areas? Those who live in big towns, we know that people used to live in slum areas. Yes, slum means many groups of people living together in one roof in a very big slum areas. Okay, means small houses. This is the reason behind the poverty line in the urban areas, that is the cities and the town. Next, let's go next to the social factor that has led to the people live under the poverty line. Now, what is the social? Social means those related to the society. Okay. Now, we find that in Indian society, okay, we find that people of India are living under many social evils. Okay, they believe that girls are not allowed to go out, then all this and that, many social evils prevail. This is another reason behind the people that has led them to live under the poverty line. This is what the three causes, that is the historical, economic and social. Okay. After this, let's go to the problems of population now. What do you mean by population? Population means the number of people. Okay, the growth of population in India. Now, here, let's go to the what is the problems now. Number one, all of us, we know that India is the mostly populated country, second mostly populated country in the world, which comes next to China. Yes, the rank of India is the most second largest populated country in the world. What is the reason behind it? What is the problems? What are the problems that will be created with the growth of population? What are the problems? First of all, unemployment. Yes. Then that leads to the another one is that unemployment opportunity increases, then poverty line goes up high in a rate, then people will be then many other social economic factors that has led and that will lead towards by the growth of population. Now, how is the populations of our country calculated, or we can say how it is identified? Now, here we find that in a census, okay, census means the records which is given in year-to-year basis. Now, according to census of 2011, we find that the population of India was, or we can say is, 121 crores. Okay, in a world area, we have the amount is 2.4%. Now here let's see, in India, which state is the most populated state? According to the different census, we find that UP is the mostly populated state in our country. Here what are the rates? When you go to the book, you just come to know. Now here, according to the we have to, as we are living in the state of Assam, we have to know regarding our own state. Yes. Now in Assam, we find that the most populated district, okay, the most populated district in Assam is Nagaon district. Okay, and the second is the Dhubri, and the last, that is the Dima Hasao. These are the three districts that has been recorded in the population record of our state, with Nagaon the highest populated, second with the Dhubri as the second largest populated district, and lastly we find that the least, which is having the lowest population in our state, is the Dima Hasao district. Now let's see what are the points. What is the reason behind the growth of population in Assam? What is the reason why Assam, the total population of Assam, is increasing day by day? Number one is the high birth rate. Second is the illiteracy. High birth rate means the number of children that is being born is more, it is increasing. Another one is illiteracy. Illiteracy means people are uneducated. Then third is the poverty, means most of the people are poor. Then lack of social consciousness means they do not know if the population, if they are increasing their family members, how will it affect in the social condition of our state. And lastly is the population education, the same thing. These are the these are the 5 factors that has led to the increase of population in Assam. After this, next let's go to the problems of unemployment. Okay, problems of unemployment. Sorry, it's not written. Sorry, yeah, problems of unemployment. What is the problems that can be created with the coming of unemployment? First of all, we have to know the definition. Okay, here accordingly to in economics we find that those people who do not get the opportunity to work as termed as unemployment. Yes, those people do not have the opportunity to work up is known as unemployment. But this definition is different in the economic term. Okay, the normal definition of unemployment is little bit different that is being given by the economics. According to economics, those people who doesn't have the opportunity to do work, they have the ability but they do not get the chance to do work, are known as unemployments. They are willing to do it but they do not get the chance to do. They are able to do but they do not get the chance, are known as unemployment. Those people who they have the capacity but they do not want to do the work, those people are not regarded as unemployment. According to the economics, those people who have the ability to do the work and they are willing to do the work but they are not getting any kind of job, those people are regarded as unemployment in the economic term. Okay, now after this, let's go to the types of unemployment. What are the different types? Here, the different types of unemployment is divided into many types accordingly to the urban and rural sector. Accordingly, we find that unemployments are divided into 2 types, that is rural unemployment, another one is urban unemployment. And again, these rural unemployments are again divided into 2 types, that is seasonal unemployment, another one is disguised unemployment. What is seasonal unemployment? As I have told you before, seasonal unemployment are those farmers who have work to do for 6 months and for the rest of the 6 months they have no work. Those are known as seasonal unemployment. Another one is disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployments are those work, means if a work can be done by 2 people and there is 5 people working in one place, the rest of the people are regarded as disguised unemployment. Okay, now next is what is the urban unemployment. Let's see what is urban unemployment. Urban unemployments are divided into 2 types, that is industrial unemployment, another one is educated unemployment. Industrial unemployment are those people who doesn't get any work in the industrial sector of the country. Another one is educated unemployment, means they are get educated but they do not get any job. Let's shorten it out a little bit. After this, let's see to the qualitative standard of employment. Here, very interesting, qualitative standard of unemployment. It means that if a people gets a job with all the facilities, okay, with good quality, with good facilities, those are regarded as qualitative standard of employment. Okay, now after this, let's go to the causes of unemployment. Very easy and very easy to understand also. What is the reason behind the causes of unemployment? Number 1 is the high rate of population growth, means the increase of population. Jobless growth. We find that the countries are fighting to create more and more jobs opportunity for the people, but they are not able to do so. Means here jobless growth means more as the people are increasing, the amount of employment are decreasing day by day. This is known as jobless growth. With the increase of population, the job opportunities are decreasing. This is the jobless Number 3 is the stagnant agricultural development. Stagnant agriculture means, what do you mean by stagnant agriculture? We find that stagnant agriculture are those, okay, which where the people, the rate of growth is not that expectation, means the standard of agricultural productions, okay, they are stagnant, they are fixed in old fashioned only. Developed modern techniques are not being used in our agricultural sector. Means this is the one reason behind the stagnant agricultural developments. We the Indians need more and more improved technology in the agricultural sector to increase employment opportunity in India. Number 4 is the low rate of industrialization. As similar to that of agriculture, the industrial sector is also increasing slowly and steadily in their own manner. There is a lack of industrialization also. And last but not the least is the faulty educational system. Faulty means wrong way of education in India. What is the wrong way of education? Here in India, we don't have vocational education. We don't have technical education in India. Yes, we have wrong way of educational system in India. Accordingly, we find that the Indian government is changing our educational system from the coming year. This is the reason why the government is taking such step. Okay, the education system in India is wrong, or we can say is not perfect. For that reason, we find that all these economics problems are created. There is poverty, then unemployment. The main is the poverty and the unemployment problem in India. Let's continue with the inflation problem now. What do you mean by inflation? Inflation means rise in the price level of the commodities. Means commodities are those things that are being available in the market, or we can say that is used by us in our day-to-day life. Okay, now here, what do you mean by inflation? Inflation means rise in the price of these things. Okay, but this is the normal definition of inflation. In economics, we have another definition. It is similar but little bit different. In economics, we find that inflation means the continuous way, or we can say that the continuous way of rise in the prices of the commodities are known as inflation. Now let's see what are the causes. Okay, now what are the causes of inflation in India? First is the demand pull, and another one is a cost push. Now what do you mean by demand pull? Demand pull means we find that the things that are being produced in India, it is in high demand, but it is less produced in the country. This leads to the demand of the things that are being less in production, but it has a great demand. This has made the rise in the price or level of these commodities. This is known as the demand pull. After demand pull, we have the cost push. We find that things are being produced, okay, things are being produced, but we find that they get less wages, or we can say that they get less amount of profit. Okay, this is also the another reason. Okay, for example, if a person is producing a thing, okay, if we find that many people used to make clothes in their house, if they do not get the profit, they will be willing to make those things in their own house? No, they don't. They used to do this work in order to get profit. Yes, more and more profit. We find that if the laborers or doesn't get proper wages, means proper salary, or the amount of their hard work in return, we find that they are not willing to do the production. Yes, now in this reason, we find that as things are being produced in less amount, but they have the demand for those things, we find that this makes the rise in the prices of those commodities. This is another reason. After these two causes, causes. Now let's go to the another two types of inflation that has been distinguished in the economic problems of our country. One is the open and suppressed inflation. Open inflation means there is no limit in the increase of the prices of the commodities. This means they don't have any limit for the increases of the prices. Those are known as open inflation. Okay. Another one is suppressed inflation. Suppressed inflation means the increase in the price level, okay, that leads to the the price level below the price level of open inflation. Okay, the price levels will be a little bit confused here. Now the price of the things, okay, that has been increased due to the decrease in the rate of the production, okay, due to the rate of the production are known as suppressed inflation. After this, let's go to the effect. What that means, if the price level increases, okay, what things happen. In a very common sense, we find that if the prices increases and if the salary or the wages of the people that is those who are engaged in the production of those commodities, we find that we find that the production of those commodities gets affected. Okay. With another one is that if there is a increase in the prices of the things that are being produced, we find that there will be no savings for those employers who are engaged in this production. They will have no increase, or there is no increase in the wages, and if there is no fixed amount for them, say as savings for them, we find that there is no reason behind, or we can say there is no good effect for the increase of the influence, or we can say the price of the commodities. There are two effects. First of all, the salary of the people will have no fixed savings for them, and on the other hand, we find that the profit they are earning will have no satisfaction at all. This is the two effects in a very simple way. Next, we see how are the government trying to control this inflation, means how the government is trying to balance it out in the country with the rise of the commodities. First of all is the monetary measures. Accordingly, we find that according to the monetary measures that has been taken up by the government, we find that different banks are giving loans to the people in order to engage themselves, or in order to fulfill their way of production in India. This is known as monetary measures. These are the monetary measures. For example, the loans that are being provided by the Gramin Vikas Bank, and within a very low rate to the weavers, or we can say to the farmers. These are some of the monetary measures that has been taken by the government. Another one is the fiscal measures. Fiscal measures means we find that different taxes, people, if they earn, or we can say, or they produce something, they have to give some tax to the government. Yes. Now those taxes has been fixed in a low level so that they can suit their amount of income. These are some of the fiscal measures taken by the government with low taxing, or we can say that low revenue system. This is the fiscal measure. Another one is the increase in production. The government is trying to increase the amount of production as much as possible in order to satisfy the growing population of a country. This is the another measures taken by the government. These are the three means, okay, or we can say the way how to control the rise of the prices of the commodities. Okay, now let's continue with the sustainable development. What do you mean by sustainable development? We find that with the development of the different countries of the world, people are in a great hurry to to make their countries more developed. They are in a competitive character now. All the countries are developing or inventing more and more new things in the world for their own development of their own country. But we find that this development of economics in different countries of the world are being, on the other hand, affecting the environment of our country. Yes, not only the country but globally, we can say. Now this deterioration means the destruction of this environment for the development, for the economic development of different countries has led to the deterioration of the nature of our earth. Okay, this has led to the biodiversity, then climatic change. All this has affected our environment and all. The environment is being destroyed. Okay, for this reason we find that many things are changing in our nature nowadays. Yes, people are using ultraviolet rays, all this, but these things, we find that many things, the invention of different things by different people in some way or the other are affecting the life of the people globally. This has to be changed first of all in order to have development in the true sense. The nature are being destroyed. They are using the resources that we get from the nature in an unlimited manner. Okay, for this reason we find that there is a need to preserve these nature resources for our future use, or we can say in order to live happily and in a very pure manner in the nature. We find that for this reason we find that there is a World Commission, okay, that is the World Commission on Environment and Development. This commission looks after the protection of the nature in a global manner. Okay, according to this commission we find that sustainable development has been taken up to meet the needs of the present nature of the people, okay, without compromising, or we can say without compromising the things that should be left for the future use. Now, after this sustainable development, we have to know what do we mean by green economy. Green economy means how much we can use in a natural way to our economic. Okay, means without, for example, in order to protect our nature, all of us know that we have to use the consumption of plastics and all should be utilized in a less manner, or we can say that almost should be stopped. Okay, now in order to have a green economy in the world, or we can say in the global standard, we find that we have to work out with the slogan of think globally, but we have to work out locally. What does it mean? Think globally, but we have to work out locally. Means in order to protect the nature of the world, or we can say the nature earth, we have to work out in our local place. Means by stopping use of plastic and by utilizing the things that has been can be destroyed, okay, that doesn't affect our nature. The things that can be utilized, or we can say that can be renewed after use. These are some of the steps that can be taken up by us in order to protect our nature art. This is all from this chapter, Basic Economic Problems. With this, I will end my chapter here. Okay, thank you.
Stay home, stay safe,
Do it for self.
do it for your family, do it for India.
Let's break the chain of COVID-19.
हम होंगे कामयाब, जय हिंद। हम होंगे कामयाब, जय हिंद।
हम होंगे कामयाब। जय हिंद।